the time is now. We have Mr. Brad Lee and Phoebe Dupree here. Hey, Brad.
How you doing? I apologize for being a little bit late. I thought it was noon Pacific.
Oh, that's all right. No, we're a little bit early. It's 1 Eastern, but we're here. That's good. We're happy you're here.
Well, thank you for having me. I wanted to introduce somebody, but before I do, I just want to kind of point out a couple of things, especially in this world of, let's call it success. In this world of success, a lot of people, kind of get tied up and they're trying to figure out what to do and where to go and what works and what doesn't work and what's a scam and all that. And I think they ultimately forget, to basically look inside, because I think it's important to note that this world is made up of frequencies, and everything in it has a frequency, including us. And a lot of times we're operating out of a frequency of fear and a frequency of doubt, and we're vibrating at a tone scale that's down here. Well, I think if you guys can understand that you want to raise that up, get that frequency level up into the top of the tone scale, where there's certainty and confidence and joy and enthusiasm and authenticity. And see, a lot of people, they're just walking around in confusion, you know, stressed out, worried, because they're focusing on the troubles that come along with building businesses and wanting to contribute and trying to make an impact. So if you think about it, that's not something that you buy or you look for. It's something that usually gets missed because we don't look inward. One time I was searching on Chat GPT and I said, what would you do if you were Satan and you wanted to stop a man from being successful? And the answer was amazing. The answer said, number one, I would fill their mind with doubt and fear, whisper things like, you're not good enough, it's too risky. Two, I would distract them with instant gratification so people didn't last long enough for anything to really, materialize. I would surround themselves with negative influence and negative people. I would give them a dash of victim mentality. I would make them stay comfortable, or at least assume that they were comfortable, because obviously we know the discomfort is what strengthens us. I would erode their confidence. I would make them focus externally instead of internally. I would give them poor habits, especially health, and I would remove their sense of urgency. So I started looking at that, reflecting how many times I've experienced the exact same thing, got the chills, because I'm thinking, man, does that mean Satan had a hold of me? Ultimately, I'm thinking this has got to be, the opposite is the way out. So if the inverse is, hey, if you want to ruin your success, you ruin it by having doubt and fear. You ruin it by having instant gratification, surrounding yourself with negative people, victim mentality, staying in your comfort zone, having no confidence, focusing on external rewards, poor habits, and no sense of urgency. So obviously, if you want to ruin your success, you do those things, which would lead me to believe if I wanted to achieve success, I would just reverse those things. So how do I get rid of doubt and fear? How do I remove the distraction of instant gratification? How do I get out of negative influences and situations? How do I get rid of the, victim mentality and get out of my comfort zone and not worry about endless planning and, start building my confidence and start, looking inward, which is where people need to look, and creating good habits instead of bad ones, and ultimately increasing my sense of urgency instead of having patience like we're taught. And so once I realized, like, that's the map, man, now it's like, whenever I talk to people, it's like I used to say, go build a personal brand. It's massively valuable, because it is. And then I teach them how I did it. And I could do that if you guys want me to talk about that. And I'm talking about how do you build confidence, because that's what I did it. But what I didn't realize is, intuitively or otherwise, just because I'm 107 years old, You know, I accidentally went and solved those problems. Some of them I were born, you know, I was born with, because I was born with kind of a fearless mindset. Like I'm not afraid to go broke. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid of other people's opinion, where most people are. You guys obviously, you know, from what I understand, based on the audience, or the people that will be listening to this, you know, your moms, and some of you stay at home moms with multiple kids, and you know, but you still want to contribute, you still want to think abundantly, you still want to, you know, make an impact. And so I would say, before you know, try to focus on the external, you know, I would say turn around and focus on your internal, because your energy is going to make a massive difference, I think, in the results that you have. And think about those things that I talked about, because if you think it's going to happen overnight, it doesn't. You know, if you have doubt and fear, and it causes you to worry about what everybody else thinks, that's gonna cause problems. You know, if you walk through those, instant gratification, everybody wants everything now, you know, even though, you know, things take time a little sometimes. You know, everybody wants to hang around high school friends, and friends they've been friends a long time with, even though they've been drama half their life, you know, and cause most of the drama. If you think about some of those friends you hang out with growing up, how many of them cause drama? How many of them are drama? But yet we love them, and with their old friends, so we want to stick around and stick by their side. When in reality, you know, it boils down to a choice: who's more important, you or them? And then a lot of people feel the guilt of saying, me, I'm more important, because we're not supposed to, you know, be proud, and we're not supposed to, you know, worry about ourselves. We're supposed to worry about others. And moms, more than anything, are so focused on worrying about their children that they forget about themselves. And so if I were you, I would kind of like take this opportunity to realize what I'm saying is, listen, no one's going to be able to do this except you. If I walk into a room of people and I say something so rude, the whole entire room would agree that I should be punched in the face or put in prison or whatever. In other words, I really said something mean. You have the decision to react in an offensive way, or you have the choice to get pissed off, and you have the choice to laugh and give me a hug. And I think that choice that only you possess is really the magical thing that I like to call God's gift. They say we have free will, but imagine I gave you an Xbox with all the games. I mean, I don't know if you guys play games. I know I do. But imagine I gave you an Xbox with all the games, but you had no controller. You know, all of a sudden, all of that value goes to waste, because you don't have a simple controller. And even if I gave you the controller, you don't know what this button does. You don't know what that button does. Like, the controller's your mind. God gave us our free will. We're able to choose. And the choice is the gift. That's what I want you guys to understand. The choice is the gift, because you can choose to be pissed off. You can choose to take action. You can choose to wait. You can choose to quit. You can choose to say, I love you, and you can choose to say, I hate you. And it's all relatively, you know, us, which eliminates victim mentality, because once you realize it's your choice, man, I don't care what they did. I don't care what they said. I understand it was hurtful. I understand it was painful, but you had the choice. It was your choice to react the way you reacted. So we need to take ownership and accountability of our own actions, and realize that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen because we chose it to happen. And we understand that we're the ones that are responsible, and ultimately nobody's coming to save us. So you have to choose, okay? And the choices are difficult on a regular basis. So what happens? Okay, we adopt a victim mentality. It's my husband's fault. It's my sister's fault. It's my kid's fault. I had kids too early. I can't do this with 5 kids running around the house. When in reality, yes, it may be tough, but that's a bullshit choice, and you know it. Yes, you can. It's just harder. I knew a girl once. She said, I can't lose weight. I have a thyroid issue. I said, well, do you run 5 miles a day? No. Do you eat right? No. Because it's not going to work. I have a thyroid issue. Again, she may have had a thyroid issue. That doesn't mean running 5 miles a day doesn't work. It means you might have to run 10. It means you might have to eat even less than the next lucky chick next to you that looks like a smoke show. At the end of the day, what does it mean? It's called personal responsibility, folks. You got to take personal responsibility. You got to make a decision. And then you got to focus on those 10 things and making them reversed. If you have doubt and fear, go out and learn, seek knowledge. Fear is there because of the unknown. Just get certain. That eliminates doubt and fear. Instant gratification, get rid of it, guys. Things take time. Negative influence, get rid of people. Get rid of your environment. Move, change. Well, I can't because that's victim mentality. Stop. You make the decisions in your head. You're the one that gets to decide. You don't like the noise I'm talking, that's probably because you're affected by it internally, because guess what? It's resonating with you and you don't like the truth. The truth is we're responsible. It just is the truth, you know? Victim mentality is paralyzing. Everybody else is to blame. No, go look in the mirror, you're to blame. You're comfortable. Everybody wants to be comfortable. I don't blame you. Comfort is wonderful, but it's the discomfort that you should be seeking if you truly want your family and your future to be comfortable, because it's almost like a trick. You do things that are comfortable now, you end up uncomfortable. If you do things uncomfortable that are uncomfortable, getting out to meet people, shaking people's hands, starting that business, taking that risk, pulling that trigger, making that move, you start to freaking get uncomfortable. Well, that's where the growth happens. How do you pray for strength and then curse the things that make you strong? Like, it makes no sense. So you have to get uncomfortable. Endless planning. Guys, potential is not rewarded, okay? Potential is not rewarded. Action is rewarded. Someone that does it okay, that takes action, is better than someone that does it really well, that doesn't do anything. Okay, the action is what matters. Who decides whether you take action or make excuses? You do. So you're responsible. Get rid of the victim mentality. It always boils back to the things that are keeping us down. Okay, endless planning is not necessary. Take some action. Okay, don't let somebody erode your confidence. Start to build your confidence. And again, I can talk about how if you want me to, but you build that confidence. You start to look internally. Are you vibrating at a frequency that's up here? Because if your vibrational frequencies up here are certainty, doubt, or certainty, love, joy, you know, authenticity, happiness, all the things that are up here in your emotional tone scale. The ones down here, doubt, fear, worry, anxiety, shame, guilt, you know, all of the things that keep us vibrationally low. What we don't realize is what we frequently see becomes our frequency and vice versa. So if you wake up, check your email, get bad news, your kid, you know, messed up the house, you start thinking negatively, you're in a negative energy all day. That energy, believe it or not, is emanating from you and it is attracting like energy. So you have to focus inward, take personal responsibility, and just ask yourself, am I in a high frequency or am I in a low frequency? Because it's real easy to get in a low frequency as soon as you wake up and grab your social media. As soon as you wake up and see a post, maybe one of mine, where who does this guy think he is? I mean, boom, instant negative energy. Now you're spewing hate, you're thinking hatred. You go out, your kids, believe it or not, are picking up your vibration. People always ask me, you know, what's your best parenting advice? I always tell people, listen, your kids aren't probably going to listen to you, but they are watching you. So don't tell them, show them. Be the example. Be the person you want your kid to be. But that's looking inward. And then poor health habits. Guys, get up, raise your heart rate, hydrate, work out a little bit, okay? Have your kids do it. Have your husband do it. Have your wife do it. Have anybody do it. Okay? It's keeping the energy and the vibrational frequency in a high tone scale, because everybody knows, even though working out sucks, once you do it, it feels great. Okay, but you have to stop focusing on external and start focusing on internal, because that's where the answer is. You got to start replacing bad habits with good habits, especially health, because if your body's whack, so is your mind, and your mind is the controller to the video games. So then you apply a sense of urgency. You stop freaking waiting. There's nothing that needs to happen for you to pull the trigger and go. Yes, you're going to get kicked in the mouth. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, you're probably going to lose. Yes, you're probably going to look like a dipshit. But all of that goes away when you do what I'm talking about. You guys have to realize it's all about energy. My energy is different. Okay, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is look at the freaking day and get extremely excited because I am awake, period. I don't need money to fall in my lap. I don't need opportunities. My whole goal for the day is to stay in that energy. I wake up and automatically I'm in the high frequencies because I'm grateful, extremely grateful for just living. Now, if I said to you guys, I'm going to give you all $1 million cash, you guys would be in a great emotional state for probably the rest of the day, maybe the rest of the year. Someone comes along with bad news, you'd be like, who cares? Brad just gave me a milli, but you don't get that excited waking up. Why not? It's worth more than a milli. It's worth more than anything. But you wake up and what do you think about? You think about freaking, hey, you maybe your husband isn't supportive. Maybe you just got fired. Maybe your kids have physical challenges. Maybe life's not fair, and it isn't. But so what? That's just life. You got to just go, hey, listen, but he's alive. But it's this, but I'm alive. I'm breathing. I got a cell phone. There's some food here. Look at the bright side. Focus on the positive, and you start to see the positive. If you focus on the negative, you'll see more negative. It's that energy that I'm talking about. And some people know what I'm talking about because you walk into a room and you either bring energy or you suck energy. And so I could talk all day about all of these things, but I'm really just here to introduce somebody who's already learned the hard way everything I'm talking. And whether she knows it or not, she went out and checked off every single one of these things I'm talking about. She had difficulty. She had a psycho husband that killed her dog or boyfriend or whatever. She basically homeschooled her kids in the back of her car while she was trying to build a business, had no money, no nothing, no support. And she went out and did it. And again, I didn't coach her to do it. She figured it out. And that's what I'm waiting to hear is how she did it, because I know that it happened, but I never really figured out how she mentally got through all these things. But folks, I can promise you this. Everything I just said to you is probably, either the most valuable thing you'll ever hear today or the most worthless thing you've ever heard today. And guess who gets to choose which one it is? You. Okay. And if you choose it to be the most valuable thing, then your life just changed. You need to think abundantly. You need to think of possibilities and optimism because it is real and you can attract it and you can build it. But first you have to choose it and then you have to believe it. And that sounds cliche, but it's true. And nobody exemplifies what it is I'm talking about more than the person I'm going to introduce, who happens to be my partner in a merchant processing business. And I like to say badass biatch, but since this is a woman's call or a lady's call, maybe I'll just say, allow me to introduce Phoebe Dupre.
Thank you, Brad. Thanks, Chelsea. Thanks, Carla, for having me here. Just 1 second. I'm trying to pull everybody up. I'm trying to edit my Zoom really quick so I can see everyone. One thing that I did want to ask just before I get started here is if anyone can throw the video on and I can see you guys' faces, that would really help me out today while I'm, going over everything with you, just because it's easier to talk to faces than it is to talk to screens. And no one feel embarrassed if you guys are with your kids. I have 3 kids. I'm about to show you guys what I did, while having children, and they were always by my side. Hi. Thank you. Anybody else?
Phoebe. Hi, Amanda.
Hi. All right.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. So I'll jump in. So my name is Phoebe. I'm Brad's partner at Real Merchant Services. And we have put together a really great company that is I'm very passionate about it because the merchant services industry has done so much for my life, and especially as a mom. And I told myself when I got up this morning and yesterday when I was planning to be on this call that if I could get on this call today and help one girl, help one mom, help one woman change her life, then getting on this call would be worth it. And if I could help one business owner, and the reason being is because previously to being in this industry, I didn't know that opportunities like this existed. I didn't know that I could make money like this. I didn't know my life could be easy like this. I didn't know what residual income was. And because I didn't have that knowledge, like my life literally sucked. Um, and so today I just kind of wanted to share my story with you. And then hopefully it resonates with some of you, maybe some people that you know who this industry could really help. Because, being a mom, especially like I was being a single mom. And when I say single mom, like my kids didn't go to their dad's house on the weekend. I had them 24/7. I was the sole provider. And that is a very lonely, isolating, just terrible place to be. And I know that now because I'm in a very loving relationship where I have a ton of support and I have a great family. And I didn't have that before. So for anyone who's there, like this message is specifically for you. But I'll go ahead and get started. I started in this, well, I'm going to go back to before I got into this industry. In 2007, I was 18 years old. I had my first kid. And then, I'm sorry, in 2007, I got pregnant. In 2008, I had my first kid. And then in 2009, I had my second kid. And by 2010, their dad was completely out of the picture. So I was like 20, 21 years old with like a 2 and 3-year-old. And I had just gotten out of hair school and I had almost, I had no money to my name. My family doesn't have money to their name. I literally had nothing. I was in an apartment with 2 children and I was struggling. And I used to work every single day. I occasionally would have a Sunday off. And I would work 10 in the morning until 5 at night at a golf course. And then I worked 9 at night until 5 in the morning at a casino. And when I tell you, I was just exhausted and overrun. And I think I worked so much and I was so tired. I didn't even realize, like, for me, being a mom at that time wasn't hard, like being with my kids, raising my kids. And now, I have a 15-month-old. And now that my life is like calm and collected and everything's going well, I feel like being a mom is so hard because it's so hard compared to my life. And it's funny to think about because back then it's like my life was so hard that sitting at home with my babies, having them crawl all over me was like glorious, right? And so going back to that time,
I'm sorry, Phoebe, that is so brilliant. I love the way that you said that. That is so absolutely fundamentally true. I love the way that you said that.
yeah, because people always say to me, they're like, how did you do it? How did you raise 2 kids? And I'm like, I loved being with my kids. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was difficult. Like my baby now, I feel like it's so difficult compared to my life. But yeah, so getting back into it, I literally, I had, the number of days I had off in about 8 years, I could count on, 2 hands. And I used to sit down in a chair and I would just fall asleep because I had been up, like I would just only take like 2-3 hour naps, and I just learned to function that way. And I think being young helped. But that's not what I wish for anyone. And I know that there are so many people, and I've met throughout this industry, who want to make a change in their life and are living, somewhere close to that life, and they need a way out. And so I remember back then I was Googling, like, I used to watch, Brad and all these other entrepreneurs that were online. And I'm like, I wish I had their life. I wish I had a husband like that. I wish I had a husband that contributed to the household. I wish I had a 2-income household, even though I was just one person. So I started Googling, like, what can I do to make money? Like, I think I Googled what makes over $100,000 a year. And pharmaceutical sales rep came up. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to be a pharmaceutical sales rep. So I enrolled in college. I took 1 math class. I got the highest grade in my class. And then I took 1 business class. And this was while working 2 jobs, while with the kids. Like, it was just a wild schedule. But all I could afford was 1 class at a time. And when I took my business class, I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, college is stupid. And not to knock anyone who's been through college, because I think it's incredibly difficult and it's an awesome thing to brag about, but it just wasn't for me. And I said, like, I'm not paying someone to make me memorize a textbook and then regurgitate it, and I get nothing at the end. Like, I'm really not you know, it was like years away. I would have been like 8 to 10 years away from having the job I wanted. That was only going to be 120 grand a year. And so thankfully, and I think, you know, when you make a decision to change your life, and you know, the universe or God, like when you're serious, like things appear for you. And it's only when you decide that there's no other way. And I just had it in my head that I was going to change my life and I had to do something. And at the golf course I was working at, this couple used to come in and they were like, "Hey, Phoebe, we see you work so much." Like they would see me like exhausted and like bloodshot eyes in the morning. And like you could just tell, it like looked like I was up all night partying and I was just like working every day. And so they're like, "You work so hard, you should do something that pays you back. Like the work that you do now will pay you later." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, they were doing the credit card processing for the golf course. So that's a company that Brad and I have, is we help businesses accept credit cards and we get them equipment. They pay fees to accept credit cards. We lower those fees. And then we provide service and support. And so they were doing that for the golf course. And I remember telling them, and I was like, "I can't do that. I can't quit one of my jobs. I can't afford it." And I was kind of in that can't mode. Like I couldn't imagine giving up that like, you know, day-to-day grind, because how would I survive? And I waited, I don't know, probably 6 months after that. And it was, they came in during the winter and they were sitting in front of me and they were like the only ones in the bar because no one comes on the golf course in the winter. And I was like, I just had enough. And I was like, "Hey, you know, you remember that thing that you told me I could do?" I didn't even know what I was talking about, but I was just like reaching for anything at that point. And I was like, "Yeah, I want to do it." So I ended up quitting my job at night. I ended up getting another bartending job. So I had like slightly different hours. So still working 2 jobs. I quit my college classes and then I started working in merchant services any hours that I could. And so sometimes it was 2 hours a day, sometimes it was 5 hours a day. But if I wasn't spending time with my children or at work, I was doing something, you know, in merchant services, whether that be social media, sending out letters, cold calling businesses. I was 100% dedicated to making a life for myself in merchant services. One of, I will tell you, the tipping points was they showed me their bank account at that time and they said they showed me a $50,000 deposit. And for me at that time, that was like an unimaginable amount of money that I could make. And I remember looking at them and I'm like, they don't look special. They were like, in my opinion, I'm very thankful, and I don't mean this in a weird way, but they were just like a very normal kind of awkward couple. They were like in their, I don't know, they were like older, and I just didn't think that they possessed any special qualities that I couldn't possess. And I'm like, how are they doing it? If they do it, I can do it. I got to know the rest of the team on the back end, and it just seemed like merchant services was a bunch of normal people who really went all in on this industry and then became very successful. And I was like, this is perfect. If they can do it, I can do it. And so I got started from there. You know, Brad did a brief introduction. I've experienced some trauma in my life. So I've had some really bad relationships. I've been through domestic violence, and one of my boyfriends actually like murdered our family dog. And it was just I went through like a very terrible time as a single mother, and I'm, you know, forever apologetic to my children. And I tell them I'll make it up to them financially and pay for their therapy, because I'm so sorry that, you know, the choices that I made, you know, I dragged them through some terrible experiences. It's just at certain points in my life, I think I couldn't recognize red flags. And because of my upbringing, I just didn't realize that they were red flags. And so the reason why, and I don't want to get too far into that story because I think I'll get off track, but the reason why I'm so passionate about this industry is because, you know, as moms, like it is your sole job to be the provider. Like the husbands and the dads are the providers and protectors, but you know, as moms, like from the second your kid is born, like what is it called when you get that voice in your head and you're like, "Don't walk down the stairs, the baby's gonna fall down the stairs. Like, don't go near that railing, the baby's gonna fall over. Don't walk them through that doorway, they could hit their head on the doorway," right? Intrusive thoughts, right? And so as moms, we have intrusive thoughts because, like, as much as it's the father's job to provide it and protect the children, when babies are born, like it's also the mother's job to do that. And so this industry like took me from a place from not being able to properly provide and protect for my children. And the reason was because I was missing the financial aspect of it. Meaning, like, when you have a husband and you know you're taken care of financially, you can take care of a lot of other things and do a lot of other things well, right? And so when you're stuck in survival mode and you have nothing, like, you're willing to do riskier things. You're willing to be like, well, I don't have any other choice, like, right? So let's just see if this will work. And so one of those things that I did when I was, I was only making like, I don't know, $6,000-7,000 a month, maybe less than that, is I ended up getting into a bad relationship because this guy, like, I think they call it love bombing or something, but he made himself seem like such an incredible, loving, nice, genuine person. And I thought I was going to, spend my life with that person. And he ended up being a complete psychopath. And my eyes really got opened during that experience, because when women go through domestic violence and when women experience trauma, from what I saw, and this is from what I saw going to courts and going to, I had to, by the court recommendation, go to, what was it called? Victim. I forget what it was called. It was like a
A
group.
victim advocate.
Yeah, and you had to go to like a group, and you had to, like, the court they make you go to this. I think I
Yeah.
probably blocked it out, but like an advocacy center, and you have to go and
Right.
sit in a group, and it's almost like a group therapy, and the court like makes you do it. And I remember looking around that room, and like I was dressed in my business clothes because as soon as I got out of there, even though like I had just been like beaten and my dog was just murdered, I had merchants to go see after because I had bills to pay and I had responsibilities and I had kids, right? And I remember sitting like in that room and I was looking around at the women in that room and I was like, and not to say anything about them, I just don't think that they were on the same, just path as me at that point. And I was like, I'm not one of these women. Like, I am not a victim. My story does not end here. Like, this man is not going to literally beat the shit out of me and then take away everything I've worked for. Like, I'm going to, put my work clothes on. I'm going to go to this little meeting, the meetings I have to go to, and I'm going to get right back up and I'm going to go to work and I'm going to work my way out of this. And that's essentially what I did. So at that point in my life, I was making like, under 100 grand a year, around 100 grand a year. That was like in 2019. And then every year after that, and thankfully, I truly believe that, there are only certain industries where you're able to do this, and a regular job or working for someone else, you're not able to make the leaps and bounds that I did, income wise, without being in merchant services. And so from, 2019 until 23 was when I had my first $1 million year. And being able to say, I had everything ripped out from underneath me, literally had our family best friend, our dog murdered in our home. I moved across the country. Like, we had like everything at that point, and everything I'd worked for essentially felt like it was taken from us. But then just by simply, and I really say by simply, in our industry, we help businesses save payments. So by simply getting up and going to work and helping one business here and one business there and another business here, and just business by business, helping people save money on their payment processing, I was able to build a residual income that now, I look back and laugh and think that I wanted to go to college. And I look at some of the other people that are in my network that spent, thousands of dollars on their degrees and years in school, and to come out and say, well, I make like, 4 times as much as that person does now. And I say that in the most humble way because it's incredible to me that there are opportunities that are out there like that. And, people I don't know, maybe people think they're scammy. Maybe people think they don't exist. Maybe people don't understand residual income. Maybe, they're stuck and they're thinking, well, that can't happen for me. I can't quit my job. Maybe their husband's the breadwinner, but what I wanted to come here and share is say that what I've seen is that women are the most determined people in this industry. I've trained a lot of girls to be very successful. And, even with my fiance now, like, he was in real estate and he was able to, I'm not saying by any means, like, I retired my husband, because it's not like he's still working, not to say it like that, but like, my husband was able to, stop working outside of the house, like stop selling real estate and really just focus on what we have in here. And I work almost, I work a lot of the time from home. And so today I just wanted to go over that opportunity with you guys, just tell you a little bit about what merchant services looks like, so that if there's anyone on this call that's looking for a new career path, or maybe someone on this call knows someone who this could really help, I just wanted to get into it a little bit. Um, in merchant services, basically you help a business save money on their payment processing. And when you do that, you are compensated by a monthly payout. And it has a couple factors, but mainly dependent on the business's volume. So if you would imagine, if you save a business owner money that processes $10,000 a month, you're going to make more if you help a business owner who processes $1 million a month. And so in this industry, and just like, networking in general, like the longer you stay in the space and the more people you help, the larger clients you get introduced to. And so we see our agents, and I saw in my own growth, like 1 year, I had a jump of $15,000 a month. So meaning, I think it was 2020, I started out at like $10,000 a month. And then on 2021, I was making $25,000 a month. And so to give yourself a $15,000 a month, $180,000 a year raise in 1 year is something that I haven't seen in, very many industries except for sales industries. And this happens to be one of them. And the coolest part is that because it's residual income, like as long as the business is processing and as long as they're your client, you still get paid. So I've had clients that I signed up day one, 8 years ago, that have still been paying me. And so you start out making a really little bit amount of money, like $100, $1,000, $2,000. And then, one day you look down and it's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. And the longer you stay in, it's just the more it grows, because if you take care of your clients, they'll never leave you. And so I wanted to get on here today, like when Chelsea and Carla asked me to come on here and speak. And I just wanted to talk about that opportunity with moms, and kind of go over it and see if anyone has any questions, or if anyone has been, looking to get into a similar field or something like that. Yeah, I feel like
So I'm gonna let people in the chat ask questions, but for right now, I am curious, how does it look? How does your typical day look as a mom, and how can moms get started through this? And then if anybody asks a question, I do want to know, a lot of our moms own businesses, so how can they also utilize your services and save money as a merchant as well?
So can I share my screen on here? I just pulled a couple pictures from over the years. I actually wanted to share with you guys. Because when you say like, how does this look as a mom? And really, I want to say you can be pretty creative. I absolutely was very creative when I first started, because I've lived in different states. I've not had access to babysitting. And so at one point in time, I was homeschooling my children, and I still had to work. So my kids would be in the back of the car on iPads, on a hotspot. I would be in the, front of the car driving from business to business. And it worked for us at that time, right? So like your day, it really depends on, I guess, like what point of motherhood you're in, and do your kids go to school for a couple hours where you have maybe 4 hours a day where you can get out of the house and go work and meet business owners. It could potentially be, maybe your husband leaves for work at 8 o'clock in the morning and you go to a networking group every morning at 7 a.m., from 7 to 8, and then he goes to work and you're able to go and meet 20 business owners a day because you attend like early morning BNI or Chamber of Commerce meetings. So there are a lot of ways that you can integrate this into your current life. What it looks like for me right now is my kids are older now, so they're 15 and 16, but I have a 16-month-old, and we have a nanny that comes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like while he's little, I made a decision that, I wanted to be with him more, and I wanted to be a different and more present mother than I was with my younger kids. So it really just depends on my day. Like, obviously, if I have an appointment on the schedule, I go take it and I go to our office and I'm there. But if I don't have a super busy day, maybe my husband and I split it, where I'll be at home until 12, and then from 12 to later, you know, I'm in the office. So it really is like whatever you want to do. There are no quotas in our company. There are no territories. You can work anywhere in the US. And you know, because of that, I mean, it's totally up to you. So the good part and the bad part about that is, you know, like when I had Pierce, I am still breastfeeding Pierce, right? Like exclusively breastfeeding. And I was able to run to the office. And like when he was little, and I know some of you will be like this with your kids, but like he wouldn't take a bottle. So I literally had to be there for him, but I also had to work. So I would go to the office, come home, feed him, go back to the office, come home, feed him, right? Like every other hour. And in the beginning, it was very chaotic. Now I do take like 3 full days out of the house where I'm sitting in the office and working. But like if I need to come home or something happens, I'm there for him. I think one of the points looking back, like when I look back, I remember when I was bartending and like I said, in the winter, it was like very dead. Like sometimes there would be no one in there, and I was paying people to go to work. So sometimes I actually paid to go to work because my babysitters at home would make more money than I did, but I had to keep my winter position because I wanted to make the summer money. And I know, Chelsea, you're like shaking your head, but like,
Well,
and
that
like,
was my mom growing up, because my mom was a paralegal, but she couldn't afford, I needed, because I grew up in the projects of Long Beach. So my mom could not afford to send me to private school and pay for daycare and support us and spend time with me. She was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't make enough. So having something like you are offering is incredible, because that, like, paying somebody to watch your kids is like, I think, just a gut punch to like, it sucks. You don't want to do that. You want to do something else.
yeah. Yeah. And especially when you're not making money out of the house and you're like, what am I doing? You're like, my system for my life is broken. And so I remember like I was at the golf course, and I remember saying like, my daughter has a concert at school, like, and I wanted to go to that concert. And I was like, can I just run over to the school, go to the concert for 15 minutes? Like, so she sees me, and then I'm going to run back from work. And he said, no. And I was like, I've worked here for 4 years, like never called out. Like I'm like a workaholic, if anyone knows me. So like I never called out. I always showed up. I'm always there early. I always stay late. And I'm like, no. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I don't even know. Like, not to say my kids don't even know me, because that's like an exaggeration, but I'm like, no one is there for them. I'm the only one there, and I'm not even there for them. And so like merchant services, like at first it was like I could have like a 2-parent household, and I was able to quit one of my jobs. Then I was able to quit, you know, both of my jobs. I still had my career, but I was able to work myself out of working for someone else. And that took about, you know, 2.5 years of like a lot of hard work. But to me, that seems like nothing. I mean, people go to college for 8 years or working really hard. So like 2 years to work yourself out of working for someone else is, I think, a very short timeline. So let me go ahead. I just want to share a couple of pictures just so you guys can see this. Okay, and I just have these downloaded to my computer. Hang on. Okay. So this, can you guys see this? This is a picture of me when I lived in Louisiana. Those are both my kids watching cartoons. This is like the back room in one of my accounts called Denny's Tire. And so I used to bring them, you can see like my pitch book is on the table there, and I'm signing an application. So I used to bring them with me, and then like I would run in and talk to the business owner. And if I knew something was going to happen, I would be like, oh yeah, and by the way, my kids are homeschooled. They're actually in the car with me today, because I would just always say, I didn't have babysitting today. So I had to bring them with me. So I'm just going to bring them in, and they're just going to sit in the waiting room while we sign paperwork. And they were always like, oh yeah, no problem. You know, and I didn't tell them like that's what we did every day, because I didn't want to seem, I don't know. I just didn't want to share like that much. Here's a picture of me. This is like their room in Louisiana. I'm like homeschooling them on a whiteboard. And I wanted to show you this. This is like, I used to bring my daughter. So this video is, see, this is 6:26 at night. I think this was 6:30 on a Friday night. And I was bringing my daughter because one of my businesses called me and said something happened with their terminal and they needed tech support. So I got my kids in the car. I went to go fix their terminal. And then I also had to make social media content. So I made my daughter video all of my social media content. And if I play this, like,
Mom, what angle do you want it? Do you want like
And I just clipped that really quick. She's like, "Dad, could you guys hear that?" Yeah, and she's like, "Mom, what angle did you want that?" So I used to have, my beautiful social media was run by my cameraman, who is my daughter. Um, Here's a picture of my daughter, like she's in her pajamas and stuff, but like packing clothes. I mean, not packing clothes, packing bags for marketing. I have pictures of me, like, I mean, I say that this industry is pandemic proof now because I worked through the pandemic. Even when businesses were shut down, I was still able to help them save money, which they absolutely needed at that point in time. And then the last picture I have here is like, um, this was when they were still in school, but this was one day in particular where I had to go sign up a business, and I had to bring the kids, and I like signed up a business, and I just like show you this.
Rex? You know that she's rich now.
No, I'm not. Not yet. But that was back in like 2017. So I used to bring them with me to go sign up businesses. So, let me stop sharing really quick. But I share those because when you have the freedom, like to do whatever you want in your company, you literally can do whatever you want. And as a mom, like sometimes that means my kid is sick. I'm going to throw a pillow and a blanket in the back of my car, and they're going to, I'm not saying children, but they're 10 years old. They can sit in the car that's right in front of this auto mechanic and go on their iPad. I'm going to go do my job, and I'm going to run back, and then I'm going to go home and make phone calls. Right. And so it gives moms a lot of flexibility, and it definitely isn't like a get rich, get quick business. The first year I couldn't really figure it out, and I made about $8,400 in the entire year. But then every year I ended up building my monthly income by at least $10,000. So like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. Working up to like my 5th year in the industry was my first $1 million year. So there's a lot of opportunity, and the opportunity is just covered up by hard work, and some grit. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It really is like whatever.
We got to get you one of our sweatshirts, God and Grit. It's our slogan for the Empowered Mom Summit. Because that's what we are, right? As moms. We do have a question in the chat. Susie's asking, are individuals considered consultants for the company?
Yes.
And then I know Amanda probably has a question as well, because she's an influencer and works with small businesses all the time. So a lot of our influencer moms are probably good candidates to work with you. So
so there's 3 ways to get involved in our company. So the first way is if you want to support us. I've been in the industry for 8 years. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity of speaking with Brad. We ended up opening Real Merchant Services together. And so working with Real Merchant Services, there's 3 ways. So number 1, if you're a business owner and you want to save money, we have 2 different programs. So one is how businesses regularly operate, where there's our processing fees and business owners pay those processing fees. The second way is called a dual pricing program. So business owners can now eliminate up to 100% of their processing fees, and that's by either passing the fees on to their consumers or giving them choices of how they pay with 2 different payment types. So like cash is one price and then card is another price, just like if any of you have lived at like a townhouse before, and you go to pay your rent with ACH, and then you go to pay your rent with a credit card, and then there's a percentage added on. Business owners essentially eliminate their credit card processing fees by doing that, by having those 2 separate prices. And then so to be on our team, we have 2 different programs. So one is an agent program where you're out there, you're doing the entire sales process, you're cold calling, bringing in leads, getting through applications, working with our team. So on our internal team, we have an applications team, a full support team, a demo team, a proposals team. Like we have a team for whatever you need. And I don't want to get too granular on like all the processes in the business, but we have a team to help you and someone to help you with every single part of the business. And then we even have 24/7 support. So once you get your business owner signed up, if you guys, anyone here who has a business who accepts payments, occasionally you don't get a deposit, you don't know how to do a return, you can't get connected to the internet, like any of these things, we have a full support team to help them 24/7. And so for people who don't want to get fully involved as an agent or have the responsibilities of an agent, we have a second program, which is called being a referral partner. So when you're a referral partner, all you simply do is make a warm introduction to our team. And then when we can help the business, we rev share 20% of the monthly profits with our referral partners. So you can still earn residual income that way. It's just a smaller share because you have a smaller responsibility. But I've had people who are making north of 25K a month as a referral partner because they just stuck with us. They keep referring over business. We keep helping them, and then it just compounds. Was there Amanda or anyone who had a question or?
Amanda's newly postpartum, so I think she's in it with the twins right now, but she looked like
Oh.
it. Her twins are 4 weeks old. It's her fourth set of twins.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's incredible. You really are so inspiring. Susie says that's super informative. She said thank you. Carla, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I could see a lot of moms being able to do the referral program if they didn't, your story is so inspirational, just how you were like, okay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to figure it out with how to do this with my kids. But I would say that a lot of moms are not as creatively thinking like that, in especially during everything you went through. I think you're just absolutely just inspirational. But I could see a lot of moms working from home being interested in being part of like a referral program. So what would they do to get started with that?
And what I've done over the years, because we've been part of, at least I've been part of a ton of different referral programs. So I'll give you an example. My kids were always involved in, like town sports or whatever. And specifically with the Little League, in the town we live in, they needed help with their credit card processing. And so they had reached out to me. And what I did with them was, I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm guessing you have, but you've been to like the Little League field or the football fields, and they have all the banners that are like around the fence. And so they're all businesses. And so what happens is the Little League, whoever's on their, team taking care of the league, they reach out to the local business owners and they say like, hey, can you pay $1,500? We'll put your banner on the fence. And it helps support the little leagues or whatever sports they're doing it for. And so what we did with our town's Little League was we said, any business that you can introduce us to that needs help with their credit card processing, we'll rev share with the Little League. So now we pay the Little League thousands of dollars a year from all of the businesses that are in town that, they're in communication with every season. And so what it eventually turns into
brilliant.
is like, hey, like through your business processing credit cards, you've already donated $1,500 for this year. So you get your banner up for free. And so there are a lot of ways that moms can really think out of the box with this. And it doesn't have to be like I was pounding the pavement from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Like, I have, everyone's in a different scenario, right? And so it could be, all the moms that go to the gymnastics group and their husbands have businesses, and the moms that go to your play group and the husbands have businesses, right? And so by simply just networking and talking to people around you, talking to the sports associations and really any group that you frequent, like if you're a mom and you go to, we have like a children's museum in town, right? Walking into the children's museum saying like, this is what I do. I'm here all the time. I'd love to help you and see if I can help you save money on your payments. And then simply making an appointment on another time, like when you can go back there, or doing it like I did and just working while you have your kids. Because I think like, I think moms are hesitant to do what I did. And I think that when you actually put yourself out there in that position and they see like Chelsea, you're here, you have like a baby on your lap, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
Saturn perking,
Well,
right?
yeah, this is our whole business model is you can do both and you can thrive in both and you can be empowered to thrive in both through the right avenues. So something like what you're saying with your referral program, and Amanda was asking, does it work strictly with online businesses? I really loved the approach of like booster clubs, high schools, you're already there. You can save schools money, you can help businesses, you can help still using that referral program. That's really neat. Okay, so Amanda wanted to know about the online business.
Yeah, and so I'll just piggyback on that too. I was part of the PTA for my kids' school one year and put together a program where some of the moms actually had their husbands sign up for our business, and then we donated money back to the school for that. So like there are endless parts, and I think as moms, you think like, oh, I'm just part of these play groups. I just go to the library every morning to, you know, the reading club, and like I go to the PTA meetings, and there's always moms, like there are always moms in those. You don't see the dads in those rooms. And there's still a lot, like you forget, I think, how many people you know, like even being a stay-at-home mom, like you have such a network, probably more than a network, you know, than I had working 2 jobs. It's like I only had the network that showed up in front of me, you know, at my job. And it's like, did I even have a relationship with those people as a stay-at-home mom, like even through church? Right. And so you can say, go to your church and say, anyone who signs up with our payment processing company, or anyone who signs up through this business, they'll give you a rev share back, and they'll share the profits from the credit card processing fees with the charity, with the church, with the school, with whoever. Hang on, I'm looking on here.
So,
For-
he's asking if agents are, okay, you see it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. So yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm a little, guys, I am, one of my biggest fears is public speaking. So I appreciate that there's a smaller group on Zoom today.
Oh, you're great. You're doing fabulous.
And so, thank you. But are they trained? You know, kill me, I forgot to touch upon. When I teamed up with Brad, we used Lightspeed, and we built the industry's only virtual training system. And so I can log in, I guess, while I'm talking really quick, but we have a full like interactive on-demand system where you go in. There are, we basically teach you the basics to get through the training, to be certified, to go out and sell merchant services. After you get certified, we have a full video library that has over 75 videos. And then we have a CRM that is stocked with marketing materials, business cards, sales scripts, literally everything that you could ever imagine that you would need to sell inside of this job. Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a way for us to collaborate, because Abundant Academy is also on Lightspeed. So if there's a way for them to access your materials through a skill shop potentially, and there can be some cross collaboration with that, so they can learn right in there, because everybody's in their Abundant Academy right now. So maybe we can get with Caroline or Brad and make sure that crosses over, so they can get immediate access to your training.
Yep. And then Brad and I do live calls every Wednesday to do like just interactive training with all of our sales agents.
That's really cool.
That's awesome. Most people know my family because we're the only family that has 6 kids, and there are many businesses in my area. And so I would think that, Elizabeth, if you live in a city and you're the only family that has 6 kids, I'm guessing it's a smaller city. But I will tell you that like when I lived in Louisiana, this small, like in the sticks, like little towns that are like one post office, one auto mechanic, one gas station. Sometimes those are the best areas to sell in because they only have one business. Each business does a really high volume, and they're actually like, I love selling in the South because everyone was so friendly. But when you live in these smaller cities and everyone knows each other, they're the best places to go because like, it's not like, and I guess where'd she put, New Jersey, New York City. Okay. So that's not, I mean, I'm over in Connecticut right now. So you're on the same, you know, almost the same as I am now. But in these smaller areas, like people think that they're discredited from being good in this business because maybe there's not so many businesses around them. And I've actually found that it's much easier to sell in those smaller towns.
Hey, Carla, you better get to work in Flippin, Arkansas, because that's where Carla lives, in Flippin.
Well,
Yeah.
say somebody is in a small town and they do know of businesses that would love to save money on their credit cards. How would they do the troubleshooting if they did not want to be like an agent? How would that work?
So at that point, they would be connected to, like, I personally have referral partners that I take care of their clients. And then there are other agents who are on our team who, you know, we put in charge of taking care of those clients. So they would have someone to reach out to. They would have a Phoebe per se, you know, if they didn't receive their funds or if they have a question.
Can you give me a cup up there?
Um,
A cup.
they would just reach out to that person. So we have someone that's on the team, and then we also have our 24/7 support where they can just call into. So all they have to do is, you know, make that introduction, and then that's it. And then just to, you know, on top of that, anyone who does like refer business to us, we take referrals very seriously because we understand that, you know, when you refer, like when you get someone a job or you say someone's going to be a good babysitter or, you know, whatever the case may be, if they are not, like that reflects badly on the person who sent them over. You know, and it's like embarrassing. And then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. So we understand that if we get a referral, it's like, you know, that's one of the highest compliments that we could get, you know, as a company, and we take extra special care of those clients. Okay, I'm gonna look at the chat, and then that's all I really have for you guys today. Chelsea's gonna, I think, send out, I think, I don't even know, Chelsea, if I added the website to that sheet that I sent you, but it's just realmerchantservices.com. There's
Yep,
anyone,
it's on there.
Yeah,
It's on there.
thanks for added it all in the chat. And we
If
will
anyone-
also send follow-up emails with access to all of your information as well. And yes, Elizabeth, there will be for the
If-
referral.
yeah, if you go right to our website and you click, there's a tab that says become an agent and one that says become a referral partner. You just enter your like name and email in there, and then there's a video of Brad that pops up. But I'll also I can share my email with anyone, so anyone that's interested can reach like directly out to me and I can help.
I posted it again in case people joined after I posted it the first time to make
Perfect.
sure that they got everything. Yeah.
Yep, and then anyone that needs help in their processing, if you just go to the website, there's a quick form to fill out, and then one of our team members will reach out to you. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, thank you, Carla and Chelsea, for having me. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for making the time and sharing all of this and your story with us. It was really informative, very inspiring. I loved visiting with you. Hopefully you will be on our podcast. We would love to have you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to do big things in 2025. Thank you so much.